Hi, it's Matt here from Go Green Autos. So this video is a quick start guide or a beginner's guide to this vehicle, the LDV EV80 electric van. So this particular van is a 2020 model, medium wheelbase and high roof. So let's start off with a key. We've got lock and unlock, and then you can hold down the middle button to just unlock the rear cargo and side doors. So let's show you how you start it. So we've got a normal ignition switch, so I'll just put the keys in the ignition and then jump in and shut the door. So to start it, you must put your foot on the foot brake and then turn the ignition on, wait a second and then just turn it round as if you were starting a starter motor, and you'll get a beep and you'll get a ready light there on the dash. Of course there's no engine noise because there's no engine, there's no vibration. You just get that green light to show that it is now ready, started, and you're ready to drive. So from this point on, you basically drive it like an automatic. So keeping your foot on the foot brake, you push the button on the side of the gear selector and drop that down to drive. And then when you take your foot off and apply the accelerator, the handbrake will automatically disengage. On this, when the light is red, the handbrake is on, and when it is off, the handbrake is off. So when driving, you keep it in drive, and if you're stop at lights, traffic lights or whatever, you just keep your foot on the foot brake. You don't need to move it to neutral. You certainly don't need to go into park, because that's going to put your reversing lights on as you go past reverse, and actually you're better off keeping your foot applied on the foot brake and holding the vehicle on the brakes and not on the transmission. So when you come to stop and you want to park up, then you keep your foot on the foot brake before you move this selector. You must always have your foot on the brake before you change this, but keeping your foot on the foot brake, just simply put it up to park, and with your foot still on that brake, put the handbrake on. So that means the weight of the vehicle is held on the brakes and not on the transmission. Whenever you go into reverse, you get a camera image out the back. You've also got parking sensors on this, and obviously the guides there will show you where the vehicle is going to go. So when driving an electric vehicle, you want to keep an eye on this display here, and this is your power usage. And as you use energy, as you accelerate, you'll have white blocks moving up on this half, and that's showing you the power that you're using. And you basically want to drive with as few white blocks as possible, ideally just one. Obviously if you stick your foot down, it's going to show full power, and if you're driving more gently, you're just going to drive on one. And it's a bit like a rev counter in a normal ICE vehicle. And then if you're getting any regen charging back as you're slowing down, that's going to show on the bottom half in green blocks, and the more green blocks, the more energy you're harvesting. So when driving an EV, you really want to use the regenerative braking effect of the motor as much as you can. So if you're coming up to a corner, junction or roundabout or whatever, and you've got to slow down, you read the road ahead of you a little bit better than maybe you would have done, and lift off the accelerator sooner and coast. And all the time you're coasting, you'll notice you'll be charging the battery, because you'll have 1 or 2 green bars there. If you find that you're using the brake too often, you're just throwing away kinetic energy that you could have harvested, and allowing the vehicle to slow down is going to be charging your battery and extending your range. So the longer you can do that, the better. So basically you read the road ahead, lift off the accelerator and coast as long as you can. And while you're coasting, the van is slowing down on the motor. That has 2 benefits. Obviously it's going to charge your battery and extend your range, but it also means you're not wearing out your brake pads. And that has obviously a cost benefit and an environmental benefit as well, because you're not getting all those brake particles in the atmosphere. Let's have a look at the other controls here. This is our battery pack, effectively our fuel tank, and we can see it's half full, and when all the lights go at the top, that's when it is fully charged. So when you're driving and you get down near the bottom where it's red, just like a normal petrol or diesel, you've got to go and refuel, whereas in a vehicle like this, obviously refueling is plugging it in and charging. This is obviously our speedo in the middle, and over here is a screen that gives us a time, estimated range in the vehicle, and our trip computers down there. and we can push a button there to scroll through a few screens. It shows us some information from the electric powertrain. Down here we have the heating and air conditioning controls. It's all very standard. I don't need to explain how they work, but I would just say the little tick there that shows you what position the dial is in isn't particularly easy to read from the right hand side. Obviously they're designed for left hand drive vehicles. When you're sitting on this side of the cab, it's not particularly easy to see where the little tick is. But yeah, apart from that, all standard, and you push the centre in there to get air conditioning. So the heating and air conditioning does use power from the traction battery. So if you're using a lot of heating in the winter, that will reduce your range, because this does consume quite a lot of energy. But air conditioning does consume less energy than heating. But again, in the summer, if you're going to have this on full blast all the time, then you will obviously expect to have a slightly lower range. And then here we've got some fold out cup holders. We've got 2 USB sockets there, which allows you to charge phones and also use the Android Auto and Apple CarPlay up there on the main screen. And over on this side we've got headlight adjustment, lock and unlock for the central locking, electric mirror adjustment there, electric windows on the door, and we've got our electric handbrake that I've shown you. And that's about it. It's a very simple dash and instruments. There's no adjustment on the regen, just one standard level of regen. There's no different driving modes either. So yes, it's a very simple and easy vehicle to drive and get to grips with very quickly. This van has got the larger upgraded touchscreen where you get this screensaver image on it, so when you're not using any functions it will default to a screensaver after a little while. But you've got a home button there where you can select what you want to do on it, and it's all touchscreen. You can go straight to your music, volume, you can go straight to all your car settings. So yes, it's all quite responsive. The only thing I found is it will always be on when you turn the ignition on, and if you walk away from the van, this still stays on unless you lock the van. So the way to turn it off is you push the home button down for 3 seconds and then it turns off. But that's only for that session. So when you start the vehicle and stop it again it will default to being on. So if you're on site and you aren't in the habit of locking the vehicle when you leave it, you just need to be aware that the stereo will stay on unless you turn it off. Ideally you want to get in the habit of locking the van, because you don't want that draining your 12-volt battery unnecessarily. So I'll just talk about charging. The charge port is down here on the side next to your driver's door. You've got 2 charge ports. The top one is your AC charging, typically overnight charging back at base or when you're not using the van. The bottom is your DC rapid charging, and these have a 30 kilowatt CCS connector, and it will charge the vehicle in about an hour and a half on a public rapid charger. Some later vans also have a Type 2 AC charging port on the front of the van as well, but this particular one doesn't. So in terms of charging, most users would simply plug the vehicle in on an AC 7 kilowatt wall charger every night, and then you return the vehicle back to 100%. So every morning you've got a full battery pack and maximum range. And then those times where if you're driving a longer distance throughout the day and you want a bit more range, and you would pull into a public DC rapid charger and get that quick charge. These will charge from about 0 to 80% in about an hour and a half, but you only need to charge enough to get you back to base or finish your work. So sometimes you might just need to do a 10-15 minute, half an hour charge just to give you enough range to get back to base to do that overnight charging. If you can charge these overnight, then you really don't need to worry about charging, because hopefully the range is enough for your normal daily use. At the back of the van here we've got our parking sensors there on the bumper. This is your reversing camera at the top, so if the image is ever poor you just need to clean the lens in the middle with your thumb. You got your high level brake light here. The rest of it's all standard stuff. You've got a spare wheel hanging underneath which you can access from that bolt there, just like any other van. You've got 180 degree door openings. Let me just Do that by pulling that bar across, and then you've got a magnet down there which will hold the door open, which then allows you to load it with a forklift. Remember to shut the left door first and not the right door, because if you slam this door onto the other one, you're going to get a dent in the door. So always make sure this door is shut first before slamming that door. If you have a puncture, your toolkit is there underneath the driver's seat. The bonnet release is under the dash there, but the only thing you'll need to access under here is the screen wash bottle. And just like any other petrol or diesel vehicle, we have a standard 12-volt battery there, and the 12-volt battery is needed to unlock or lock the vehicle, power up the dash and all the ECUs, and to start the vehicle. While this isn't turning over a starter motor, of course, because there's no engine, we still need a good 12-volt battery in working condition to start the vehicle, because it's turning all the ECUs on and turning those contactors on to bring the 400 volt from the traction battery to your electric motor here. So if the vehicle's been left open, radio on, lights on, that sort of thing, just like a normal petrol or diesel, the 12 volt will drain over time. If that's the case, you can jump start this or put it on a battery charger, just like any normal vehicle. So I think that covers the basics, but obviously for anything else you would want to read your user manual.